right, so thank you for tuning in to Chomping at the Bit. This is episode number 96. I'm Kyle Edwards, of course. And as I said in the last episode, it is NFL Draft Week. And we have made it to the first round of the NFL Draft, which will be tonight at 8 o'clock. So I'm hoping to get this out to you at least a couple hours before. That way you get a chance to really get, I guess, warmed up before watching the draft. We'll be on this ABC, ESPN, NFL Network. I believe that's it. Probably some other places you could probably find online or whatever. But yeah, we have come to that point. I mean, the NFL does a great job of really spreading out their calendar. Because, I mean, they get playoffs January, February, you have the Super Bowl. March, you get, what's March? It's like free agency is in March. You get your draft in April. I think May is like OTAs, then June's training camp. July, it's like a continuation of training camp or something. Then August, you're getting ready for preseason. So this is the big event for the NFL. I mean, this is where teams look to correct some of the wrongs from last year, as well as the teams that have struggled, continue to build for their future. And for some teams, complete teardown and starting all over again. This year, the draft is in Cleveland, Ohio. There will be fans there. There will be prospects there. I believe there's 13 of them who have been invited and will be there, which is always a scene to watch because there's always that, anticipation of who's going to be the last guy in the green room, as they call it. And we had some memorable moments over the years. Everybody remembers was it Brady Quinn when he was dropping in the draft and he was just kind of anxiously there waiting and kind of like messing with his girlfriend's hair while he was waiting for his name. There was I think Aaron Rodgers became a big viewing point because he continued to drop, and it was just like wanted to see how far he would fall. And yeah, and I know Roger Goodell said earlier, I think last week or so, they said the bro hugs were back on this year. Of course, last year they did it virtually, and it was actually a pretty good success. I know when they first announced it was going to be virtual last year, there was a lot of thought of if they could capture the emotion and the atmosphere being virtually. I mean, they did as well as they could. So, but this year, back to normal, live crowd. Cleveland's a great fan base, so should get some good reactions out of the crowd. Like I said, starts at 8 o'clock. First round is, like I said, first round's tonight. Tomorrow night, you get your second and third round. And then 4 through 7 Saturday. Tonight should be about 8 till maybe like 11:30 or so. I want to say they get 5 minutes between picks or something like that. So we'll see. I mean, if there's trades and stuff, that kind of pauses the clock until the trade's gone through, and then the clock gets reset. So if there's a bunch of trades in the first round, then it could go a little longer. But we'll definitely have to see. I'm expecting some trades. I think it's going to be an interesting night. There's, to most of the experts out there, there's like 18 top prospects in this first round. And we've talked about, last episode, how there's the 5 quarterbacks that everybody's going after. Well, not everybody, but the teams who need a quarterback. There's 5 bona fide first round picks this year. So you might see some jockeying towards the the top half of the first round, of course. to try to get those guys. Pretty good wide receiver depth for the first round. So some teams who may be offensively challenged, as I'll put it, will be trying to get one of them. Or some teams that have quarterbacks that are kind of in a prove-it year may try to get a wide receiver to show that the quarterback has support from the organization. And then defensively, there's some playmakers out there, some edge rushers, there's some well-named corners. And if you've been an NFL fan long enough, you're going to see maybe some of your favorite NFL players' kids get drafted tonight, which is always interesting. But what I'm going to do on this episode, of course, is, as I promised in the last one, I'm going to give you my first round mock draft. I'm going to do the whole first round. I'm going to pick for everybody. Now, I'm not going to incorporate trades because that would just make this episode longer, and I don't really want to do that. Plus, to try to predict who's going to trade where and where, I mean, I can't do all that. I will, as I go through the picks, of course, let you know which picks I think are in play and could get moved, and then let you know what teams may move up and all that kind of stuff. So, let's see if there's anything else before we go ahead and get into this. Well, I guess one quick actually a couple of interesting notes that came out of the NFL not too long ago. Apparently Aaron Rodgers has told some people in the Packers organization that he no longer wants to be there. I mean, I will probably go further into it on another episode because this is kind of a regular thing with him where he'll periodically just kind of lash out at the organization in a public way to try to get what he wants. I'm assuming he's saying that because he wants them to draft a wide receiver. That's my guess. Now, does Green Bay maybe call his bluff and draft who they really want to draft? If it is a wide receiver or not. Maybe they want to draft a defender. Do they do it? We'll have to see. Is it legit? And Green Bay kind of gets to the point where they're sick of it. Try to trade him at some point this weekend. Well, probably not, because he's at his level of stardom in the league, I guess. It's probably something they want to make sure they get the right offer and all that kind of stuff. So maybe something happens after the draft. We'll have to see. And then the other thing was Tim Tebow. There's a name that you may not have heard of. Well, not heard of, but heard from in a few years. But there's a story that he may have contacted the Jaguars or may have showed up down there or something like that. And the interesting thing about the story is that he supposedly is open to being a tight end, which, if you guys remember when he was first trying to get into the league, a lot of people thought he would never make it as a quarterback. He'd have to switch positions. He was kind of stubborn about it back then. Said he wanted to be a quarterback. I mean, he had a little bit of success. He did win a playoff game. Got to give him that. But after his career quickly flamed out, he tried baseball. I believe he recently retired from baseball or something. So I guess he was only a minor leaguer. I don't think he ever made it to the majors, but he retired. So, but now it seems like he's ready to try NFL again as a tight end. So we'll have to see what happens there. I mean, Urban Meyer's down there. He has experience with Urban Meyer. So we'll have to see about that. But that's a story for down the line. See where that goes. But now with all of that, let's go ahead. Let's get this mock draft going, because I'm sure you're all interested to hear who I have going where. Now, as we know, the Jaguars had the first pick. There's really no reason to, babble on about it. We all know who they're going to take. So, first pick, Jaguars are going to take Trevor Lawrence. We've known that since last season ended, and Jacksonville knew they were getting the number one pick. We knew they were going to take him. Now, number 2, we have the Jets. There was a lot of speculation when the draft process started and Sam Darnold was there. Would the Jets try to go all in and really try to help Sam Darnold? Do they go quarterback and move Sam Darnold? Well, we've already realized Sam Darnold's no longer there. They're obviously taking a quarterback. It's been well known. Well, it used to be Justin Fields was going to be the second quarterback, but somewhere along the line, Zach Wilson became the hot name in the quarterback tier, and the Jets have basically made it known they're going to take Zach Wilson. So number 2 pick, the Jets are going to take Zach Wilson. Here is where the draft gets started for most people. Is number 3. San Francisco now has the 3rd pick. If you remember, I think they had like the 6th pick, traded back with Philadelphia to like number, stay with me on this one, to number 12. And then like 3 days later, they traded from number 12 up to number 3. And a lot of people have been speculating, would they do it for? Now, I was thinking the other day, what if San Francisco did it to draft Kyle Pitts? Because they have Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, there's been talk about whether Lynch and Shanahan actually like him or not, but we know he's an established quarterback, and he's not old. He's 27, maybe. So, if they wanted to, if you bring in Kyle Pitts, then you create a problem for defenses with Kyle Pitts and George Kittle out on the field at the same time. 2 tight end set. Both guys are more receiving inclined, but you can get a blocking tight end like 7th round if you want to. That's no problem. And they lost, Kendrick Bourne from the receiving core. They still have Deebo Samuel. So, and Pitts is a guy who has wide receiver skills in a athletic tight end's body. So I wouldn't be surprised if he lines up like a wide receiver on some plays. But apparently the consensus is that the 49ers moved up to 3 to apparently take Mac Jones. Now, if it were me, I would do what I said and go with Kyle Pitts. But if the report is true and the consensus is Mac Jones, then I'm going to go ahead and draft Mac Jones for them. And Mac Jones is a guy who, through, the championship season at Alabama, through off-season workouts, through pro days and all that kind of stuff, I got to give it to him. He's really made a name for himself and has put himself in a position to where some people don't really think 49ers are crazy for taking Jones here at 3. As I said, I wouldn't do it, but it looks like they're going to do it. So I'll go ahead, give them Mac Jones. So now from here on out, we don't really have any consensus on any of these picks. So I'm just picking based off of how I think it's going to go. The Falcons at 4. This is an interesting one because this is a pick where, this is the first spot that I see a trade could happen. Now, if San Francisco does really take the Mac Jones at 3, that means 3 out of the 5 big name quarterbacks are already off the board. So at that point, the minute Goodell says Mac Jones, expect the Falcons phone to start ringing off the hook because teams are going to be looking to move up there. And there's even some talk that the Falcons could take a quarterback here. I think it'd be stupid of them at this point because they have so much money tied up into Matt Ryan for the next 2 years. It'd be a complete waste at number 4 to draft a guy who's not going to see the field for like 3 years. And with all the issues the Falcons have, that's the last thing I want to see. Now, if you're going to tell me that they'll be able to trade Matt Ryan or something, fine. I don't see that. And as I've said on here during the NFL season, Matt Ryan is not their issue. So we'll have to see. We did hear from the former Saints GM, Terry Fontenot, who's now the Falcons GM, that he is open to trading Julio Jones, which I have to say, about time somebody in that building started thinking about that, because Julio Jones is 32. He gets hurt every year. Clearly he's not going to get healthier as he gets older. You already have Calvin Ridley there. Like I said, you have Matt Ryan. I feel like you would be doing the team a service to kind of move on from Julio, build the offense around Ridley, Matt Ryan, whoever you can have emerge as a running back, fix your offensive line, really fix the defense and all that. So I say all that to say I have a feeling that with San Francisco taking Jones at 3, Falcons are probably going to take Kyle Pitts, the tight end out of Florida, with the number 4 pick. I wouldn't be mad at it. He would give them a dynamic offensive player, because now if you look at it, if everything goes right, you'd have Matt Ryan under center, you have Ridley. I guess at this point you still have Julio when he's healthy. You know, Pitts. That's 3 really good pass catchers. Then the rest of this draft, you can go offensive line. Probably take a running back. Depending on how the running back board shapes out, you can take one middle of the draft or whatever. But after this pick, I would expect them to go heavy on the defense. So, Pitts, number 4. Now, number 5, we have Cincinnati Bengals. Another interesting pick. I think the Bengals will make this pick. So, this is one where there's like a little internal battle where Joe Burrow, LSU guy, wants Jamar Chase, wide receiver from LSU, who he played with. I also think they could go with a tackle here to help protect Joe Burrow after he got injured his rookie year. But you know what? Wide receivers are a more glamorous pick. I feel like offensive linemen, you can find those throughout the draft. They could draft a, left tackle, second, third round, and be fine. Jamar Chase, great playmaker. They already have the connection. AJ Green. I believe AJ Green is gone now. Where did he go? Did he go to Arizona? Yeah, AJ Green's in Arizona. So he's gone. You bring Jamar Chase in. Next 5-6 years, Burrow and Chase. And then offensively, you go from there. So I'm going wide receiver out of LSU, Jamar Chase, number 5 to the Bengals. Now we're up to pick number 6 with the Dolphins. Dolphins are an interesting team. They traded up with the Eagles to get up to the 6th spot. And Dolphins are a team that's on the come up. They look like they're going to be a playoff team last year. Fizzled out at the end. They have Tua as their quarterback. There were some questions about Tua and maybe the Dolphins would draft a quarterback here. But I think there is some commitment to Tua. So if you're going to do that, best thing is to surround him, of course, with proper prospects. Now, I know they need some offensive line help. Brian Flores is a defensive guy, so they could go defense here. But they technically could go wide receiver as well. But I think for Tua, and since he's not that big of a guy, I think they would do well here to take an offensive lineman. And this point in the draft, I feel like there's only one that makes sense. So I'm going to say pick number 6, the Dolphins are going to take Penei Sewell, tackle out of Oregon. I mean, he's a mammoth of a guy. He's really athletic for a tackle. So you stick Sewell at tackle, and you have now protected Tua's blind side and off the edge, depending on which side you put him. I think he's a left tackle, but most tackles can play left or right tackle. So since Tua's left-handed, his blind side's technically right tackle, but I think most teams put their best edge rusher on the left side, so makes sense. So yeah, they would get Penei Sewell, which is a need, and they would feel perfectly happy about it. Now on to 7, got the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are always picking in the top 10. They did make a change at coach, hoping to change the aura around that team of failure. Hopefully this pick is a step in the right direction. They traded away Matthew Stafford. They brought in Jared Goff. If you bring in Jared Goff, give him weapons, I feel like this is another pick that could be in play because, like I said, Detroit needs a lot. So it would probably be in their best interest to trade down from 7, get some more picks, and go about it that way. But like I said, I'm not going to factor in trades. So Detroit sticking at 7. I think feel like there's 2 names at play here. I could see Micah Parsons, the linebacker from Penn State. Or if they go offense, they're going to go wide receiver. And it'd probably be one of the Alabama guys, Smith or Waddle. I think Detroit's going to take wide receiver out of Alabama, Devonta Smith. Right there, you give Jared Goff a weapon to develop with next year. And yeah, it fills one piece of that puzzle in Detroit that needs a complete overhaul. And starting with Devonta Smith, good place to start. He was the Heisman Trophy winner for goodness sake, last year. He's a speedy guy, not that big. He weighed in at like 160 pounds. A little bit troublesome because you got safeties at like 225 looking to rip your head off. I mean, you got linebackers at like 225 flying around trying to rip your head off. So, but can't go wrong here. Devonta Smith to the Lions at 7. So now we have the Panthers at number 8. Okay. They traded with the Jets like last month. They got Sam Darnold. They traded Bridgewater away earlier this week to the Broncos. So before the Darnold trade, I said I was thinking they were going to take a quarterback here. But now that they have Darnold, and Darnold is still really young, he just needs to be in a situation where he can kind of be given some tools to succeed. And Matt Rule coming in with a college mind, fresh mind for Sam Darnold. I don't think they go quarterback here. I do think they will draft a quarterback, though, but not here. Probably like second, third, maybe fourth round as a guy to back up Darnold. And then if Darnold ultimately doesn't work there, then the successor is sitting behind him. So with that, if you have Darnold, I kind of think they may go wide receiver here. Because offensively, you're going to have Darnold. You got Christian McCaffrey, although he was hurt last year, but he's a dynamic player. I believe they still have Robbie Anderson, who was great for them last year. I think it would be a good move for them to get another wide receiver. Well, they have Curtis Samuel, who's like their do-it-all guy. Oh yeah, they lost him in free agency. That's right. I just remember that. He's in Washington now. So it makes sense to go wide receiver. So I'm going to go back-to-back Alabama here and say that the Panthers take Jalen Waddle, wide receiver out of Alabama, at number 8. Really like that pick. Jalen Waddle, I am a big fan of his. I understand he got hurt last year, but I think he has a shot of being the best wide receiver in this group. But of course, situations dictate that, and we'll have to see if Matt Rule is a sticking point down in Carolina and they can build something down there, and Carolina doesn't overreact if he struggles next year and, fire him or something. But starting off, Darnold, Waddle, let's go. So now we're at number 9, Denver Broncos. Like I said, they just went ahead, traded for Teddy Bridgewater. I mean, Bridgewater's not dynamic in any way, but what he is steady. You know what you're getting with Bridgewater. He's not going to turn the ball over. He's good decision making. He will hit open receivers. He protects the ball. So, and I think with that Denver team, where they had Drew Lock, which he's still there. Drew Lock is still young, so they could give him another shot. Kind of do the Tua Ryan Fitzpatrick thing that the Dolphins did last year. Same thing there. I know they need a quarterback. I think they may be in the same boat as Carolina. They may go quarterback later in the draft. It's tempting here for me to go quarterback, but I don't think that's the right move for them. But I do think the Broncos will go ahead and take... there's 2 names here. Once again, I could see Micah Parsons going here, the middle linebacker who's like the new age linebacker of speed and playing on open space. Parsons is more of a, I think, around the ball linebacker. You don't want to have him roaming in space too much, covering tight ends and all that kind of stuff, because he might get a little lost, because they didn't really do that with him at Penn State. Not saying that that's a skill he can't develop, but based off of what I've seen with him, he's kind of like a Dante Hightower type from the Patriots, like a legit middle linebacker who assesses what the offense is doing. If they're running the ball, finds an opening, shoots the gap, makes a play. Screen passes, he's great there because around the ball, blowing those up. And I think that's a great get for Denver in a division. Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Derek Carr, I almost call him David Carr. Derek Carr with Vegas. So, number 9, the Denver Broncos take Micah Parsons, linebacker out of Penn State. All right, moving along here to the Dallas Cowboys. We all know about the Cowboys. Jerry Jones, the party starts for him. So at this point, I mean, it's pretty safe to say Jerry Jones wants to go for big splash, big name. Now, if Parsons gets past Denver at 9, I could see Dallas taking him because Sean Lee just retired. The off-injured linebacker for the Cowboys was the quarterback of the defense when he was out there. But with Parsons gone, I do think they go defense here. They could go with an edge rusher, but I think it's a little high for that. I'm expecting them to go corner because there's some big name corners in this draft. We have Patrick Surtain the second. We have J.C. Horn and Caleb Farley, as well as Asante Samuel Jr. Interesting enough, 3 of those cornerbacks had dads who played in the league. So I don't think they go with Asante Samuel. Maybe Surtain. All right, I'm going to go with Patrick Surtain. That's the Cowboys take at number 10. Number 11. So now we're going to go on like a little run of the NFC East. So the Giants are now on the clock at 11. So this is a spot where I think they go offensive line here. Got to protect Daniel Jones. I like the trajectory on Daniel Jones every year. Seems like he is getting better. He's got mobility. He's got arm strength. You just got to protect him. So with Penei Sewell already gone, I think at 11, there's 2 guys kind of in this area. You have Rashawn Slater for Northwestern. You have Dara Shaw, Virginia Tech. I think the better choice here is Rashawn Slater, who's another guy who's kind of lifted his draft stock in the offseason. He's become a name that's really shooting up boards. But I think here, perfect spot to take him. You stick him on the end of the line, protect Daniel Jones, and keep the train rolling with Daniel Jones' development. I think if done right, Daniel Jones can lead the Giants to a division title next year. I don't know if that's a hot take because that division is kind of a crapshoot, but I like Daniel Jones, I gotta say. So now we're at 12. Philadelphia Eagles are on the board. They have Jalen Hurts. I feel like Philly fans are going to want them to take a quarterback here. But once again, I think it'd be stupid to do that here. Oh, man. Man. Because now that I've done this, there's 2 quarterbacks there. Although for some reason I think at this point there may only be 1 quarterback left. I'm starting to rethink the Denver pick of Micah Parsons, but I'm going to stick with it because I picked it. I'm just going to go with it. But the Eagles, I think, would be tempted to take one. But I think for all intents and purposes, it doesn't make sense here. Because like I said, Jalen Hurts hasn't been given an opportunity to actually start yet. And you went through all that to draft him, was it 2 years ago? So I think it'd be a waste to go there. Now, Jalen Hurts could use some weapons. They don't really have anybody dynamic outside as a wide receiver. mean, Smith, Waddle, Chase are all gone at this point. Do they reach maybe a little bit and go Rashad Bateman? Yeah, I think they do. I think at number 12 they go Rashad Bateman out of Minnesota. He's a guy who, depending on who you listen to, there's like a mixed bag on him. Some think he could surprisingly be the best wide receiver. Some think he could be a guy who not really is a bust, but doesn't play up to where he gets drafted. That makes sense. So, I'm going to go with Bateman there at 12. I think it'd be crazy for the Eagles to go quarterback. It doesn't make sense to me because you're going to have Hurts and then you're going to draft a young guy. That could become a weird situation in the locker room. So, yeah. If they want to draft a project quarterback later on, fine. Because at least that way you're giving that person a couple of years to sit behind Hurts or whatever veteran quarterback you have there to learn on the job. That way you don't create the situation where Jalen Hurts feels like he's looking over his shoulder every time he makes a mistake. So Bateman's the guy there. 13, Chargers on the clock. They already have their quarterback in Justin Herbert, who balled out last year. Great starting block for them. So now, with this pick, they could go a couple of ways. They definitely need some offensive line help. And with him clearly being the future of the franchise, that'd be a great place to start. So, but also in that division, you could use all the secondary help that you need. But I think at this point, they go tackle and they go Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. Number 13 to the Chargers. All right, so now number 14, we have the Vikings. And where do we go with the Vikings? Because the Vikings still have Kirk Cousins as their quarterback. I mean, Kirk Cousins is infuriating. Although he had a good year last year. But I think that's a team, once again, that if they're going to go quarterback, they're not going to do in the first round. So, once again, two quarterbacks are going to sit there. So, where do they go here? Got J.C. Horn sitting there. Wouldn't be a bad thing. Yeah, Christian Barmore. Wouldn't be bad to go there. Defensive line. The only person on the line that would make sense here is Elijah Vera Tucker. You know, this could be a little high for him, but so this could be a pick that maybe with the two quarterbacks still there, somebody from, like late teens area may try to do a trade here to jump up to get one. Or, since Minnesota's not going to take one here, no, I think this could be a pick that gets traded. But if they stayed there, I'm going to say they take Elijah Vera Tucker. And between the Chargers and the Vikings with Darrisaw and Tucker, those two picks could get flipped very easily, but that's where I'm going to go. It's now 15, got my Patriots. So once again, if this is your first episode, I am a Patriots fan, born and raised in Boston, so there you go. So now with my Patriots there at number 15, gotta tell you, if this plays out the way that I have this draft going, I mean, all my Patriot fans out there, throw a party. Because now they are sitting in a beautiful position where Fields, Lance, both there. We all know the quarterback situation. They have Cam Newton. He's on a 1-year deal. And it's basically seen as a bridge year again where he's going to be used to hopefully groom the quarterback here. There's Jarrett Stidham. Now, I don't think they've completely given up on Stidham, but they would rather have it be like a real competition between this young guy and Stidham like next year. If Stidham turns out and beats them, fine. But at least this guy's there to come in after Stidham if he does flame out. So, sitting here, we got Fields and Lance. I think to some people it's a tough choice. Gotta be honest with you. If this is a scenario that plays out, I'm expecting the Patriots to run up there and go with the quarterback out of Ohio State, Justin Fields. If it does come down to Fields and Lance, you can't go wrong with either one. But to me, Fields with his success in that Big Ten, it means something. Now, there's been a lot of talk past couple of days about how his throwing motion is terrible and all this kind of stuff. I mean, I feel like I never heard that when he was playing big primetime games at Ohio State. I never heard anybody talk about his throwing motion. So the fact that it's been coming out lately, I'm not buying it. So I'm going Fields here. So now we're at 16. Got the Cardinals. Cardinals are set at quarterback. They got my guy, Kyler Murray, there. And for them, they don't really need a wide receiver. And there aren't really any wide receivers here at this point. Because you have Larry Fitzgerald, the ageless one. You got DeAndre Hopkins. Now you have AJ Green. Which, sneaky, kind of a dope wide receiver group. Kyler Murray could have a really big year next year. But here, I think they go defense. So kind of break up the recent run of offensive players. I think they go cornerback here. They could go D lineman, but I think cornerback's more of a fit. And there's a guy sitting there for them that'd be perfect. I think it's J.C. Horn, cornerback out of South Carolina, going to Arizona. That division, you have DK Metcalf and Russell Wilson in Seattle. You have Matthew Stafford and Cooper Kupp with the Rams. And then Niners, you got Jimmy Garoppolo and George Kittle. Or Mac Jones and George Kittle. So, J.C. Horn's the pick. So now we're to the Raiders. And gotta say, the Raiders, kind of like the Cowboys, they're going to want to make a splash here. Question is, who exactly makes a splash here? Oddly enough, they could go corner as well. Because as I said with Denver getting Parsons, I mean, it's not the worst thing to go secondary in that division. So at this point, you got Newsome, who's a corner who's kind of moved up boards lately. You have Caleb Farley. Well, I think Farley has a back issue. It's kind of scary as a cornerback. You still have Asante Samuel Jr., but I'm going to go... I don't know if Newsome is... Yeah, let's go Newsome here. Greg Newsome, cornerback out of Northwestern. So now you have the Dolphins back on the clock. They got Penei Sewell at number 6. Now, this is a spot where maybe they look to trade back from 18, get a couple more picks, who knows. But sitting here at 18, I think the pick for them at this point. So they went offense around the first pick. They go defense here. I think at this point you go Barrymore from Alabama. Defensive lineman who, when you watch highlights, he's a guy who can be a real disruptive player along the defensive line. Some questions that have been, brought up about him, possibly not taking the coaching well, not listening. I mean, that might have been in college. I feel like here you take the chance and you hope that he figures it out, really tries to hone his craft and become a great D lineman. So that's the pick for the Dolphins. Now with the Washington football team. And yes, they are the Washington football team again this year. Although supposedly they are working on nicknames. I think their fans have been given a list to pick from, and some of them sound pretty cool. Some of them sound awful, but we'll see. So they are a team. If, once again, this pans out as I've put it so far, this is a no-brainer pick. So at 19, Washington football team will take Trey Lance, quarterback, North Dakota State. Once again, don't know if this will happen this way because some teams might get jumpy and move up and all this kind of stuff, but just going off the draft board as is, I think that would be the place for Lance. I think it'd be a great spot for him to go. As I said, they got Curtis Samuel in the offseason. Great get for them. Their defense is already pretty good, so there's not that much pressure on the young quarterback first year there. They have Tyler Heineke as the backup plan there, who performed really well in the playoff game. I was surprised by that. So he may have an opportunity to start here, and Lance maybe sits a year, but that's where I'm going. Lance is the quarterback. So now you have the Bears at 20. The Bears need a quarterback. Unfortunately, at this point, they've kind of been left out of the party. And if that were to happen, I think this would be a prime pick that they would probably trade and drop back. Maybe look to take one end of the first round, but they sit here at 20. I think the pick would have to be, so they need a quarterback. No quarterback here. Could definitely use a wide receiver. They could use a corner. They could use offensive lines. As you can tell, they need a lot. But if I were running the Bears, I would go. I'd go Elijah Moore. Yeah, Elijah Moore, wide receiver out of Ole Miss. Recently, Ole Miss has had a couple of good wide receivers. Everybody knows DK Metcalf. There's another guy whose name has slipped me for some reason, but there's another one out there. So, they don't have their quarterback yet, but at least you're getting them a young wide receiver to go along with him. They still have Allen Robinson. Believe he's on the 1-year franchise tag, so Moore and Robinson for 1 year, possibly. Could be a great tandem there. So yeah, that's the pick at 20. Now we're getting into the playoff teams. Try to get to these picks here. Colts at 21. I think the Colts go defense. So here, Indianapolis Colts take Kwity Paye, edge guy, Michigan. The defense is already pretty good. They have Carson Wentz on offense. Believe they brought back T.Y. Hilton. So Kwity Paye can even make that defense a little better. They could have gone wide receiver here, but I think it would have been a little high. So expect them to go wide receiver at their next pick, of course. But Kwity Paye, I think, is a great spot to get him here at 21. And like I said, give that defense more of a pass rush. 22, got the Titans. Titans are another team. Could definitely benefit from a wide receiver to pair up with A.J. Brown. Once again, still a little high. So, I think they go defense here. I mean, you have Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, the linebacker for Notre Dame, sitting there, who could technically go higher in this draft. Depending on, like I said, what happens up there. Like, so instance, if Patriots sitting there at 15, quarterbacks are gone, Koramoah could go there. Some other teams in the teens, but the way that this is shaken out, he's still there. But I think they go secondary because their secondary let them down in their loss last year in the playoffs. So it might be a little risky, but let's go Caleb Farley here. Hopefully the back doesn't become too much of an issue with him. I think that'd be a great pick for them. You know, defensively they are pretty solid, but some back end help is definitely needed there. So now we have the Jets back on the clock. Jets just got Zach Wilson up at number 2, so sitting here at number 23. I think they go defense as well. I feel like throughout this exercise, I've doubled up on a lot of positions throughout this thing, which I guess could happen, but whatever. Let's keep going with it. So 23 Jets, I think they get Jalen Phillips, edge guy out of the Miami. I mean, the Jets come out of this with Zach Wilson, Jalen Phillips. They would have had a pretty good first round. I mean, which, based on past experiences, it'd be a good little win for them. So, Jalen Phillips there, 23. So now 24. So here's the thing. When I thought about the 49ers at number 3, and I said maybe they take Kyle Pitts, my thinking was Mac Jones. I don't see him going number 3, but apparently that's where they're going. Even though that could be all talk. And they could literally do what I think, take Kyle Pitts there. But if Mac Jones were to slide the draft board, I gotta say Pittsburgh would be the perfect spot for him. He'd get to sit behind Ben Roethlisberger for probably a year because Ben is breaking down. Now, this is a move the Steelers should have made a couple of years ago, but they haven't. So I think they're going to be forced to take a quarterback at some point this year. But with him not on the board, they got to go somewhere else. And as immobile as Ben Roethlisberger is, you got to basically load up on the offensive line. So I think at this point they're going to take Walker Little, the tackle out of Stanford. Yeah, just block his blind side and just hope he gets rid of the ball fast enough that at least gives you a shot at making a play here. So now we're back to the Jaguars. Which, I mean, the Jaguars need a lot of help. So you'll probably hear a lot of them throughout the first few rounds of this draft. Actually, how many picks do they have? I think they have like some crazy number of picks this year. They only have 10. That's not that crazy. So, whatever. They got the quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. They have a couple of decent wide receivers, so there's no wide receiver need here. Could go offensive line. I think they need a tight end, but there's no tight end to really take at this point. Know what they do here? They go defense. Although with Urban Meyer there, I'm sure he would love to take a guy from a school that he coached at. But I say they get, hope I pronounce his last name right, but Trevon Moehrig. He's a safety at a TCU. Safety is a need for Jacksonville. So he's the best safety on the board. At this point, Jacksonville, with each of their picks, should just take the best guy available and just go from there. So that's an obvious pick to me. This is another one. Cleveland, number 26. I think the way this has worked itself, Koromoa is sitting there on the board still. Cleveland, run up to Goodell, take him here at 26. Linebacker out of Notre Dame, going to Cleveland. That would be a great spot for him. Koromoa is a guy who, if you look at him, he plays linebacker, literally looks like a safety, runs like a corner, and when he hits you, like, go pull up his highlight video on YouTube. Like, he is laying people out. I mean, it's a great highlight video to watch. So, Cleveland, Koromoa, no questions asked. All right, so now we're in the bottom of the first round. I know this is taking a while. It's been a long episode. But, as you can tell, I'm excited for the draft, so I'm giving you thorough content here. 27, Baltimore. Obvious pick here. They got to go wide receiver. I mean, I've said on here enough that Lamar Jackson needs to become a better passer if Baltimore is serious about making a Super Bowl. I think one way to do that, put weapons and you force him to throw to him. There were too many times last year where he would drop back, whether guys weren't getting open or he wasn't seeing them. He was taking off way too much. And he's not the biggest guy. And I would hate to see, not saying it's going to happen, he, scrambles, takes a hit the wrong way, and he ends up like Robert Griffin, where Robert Griffin was a dynamic player, one injury, and it just derailed that train. And Griffin is now a career backup. He may even be a backup in Baltimore, I think. Haven't seen him in a while. I'd hate to see that for Lamar Jackson. Like I said, I'm not the biggest Lamar Jackson fan, only because I think he gets way too much hype and he's not that great of a passer. So, and if he wants to live up to, well, there's other young quarterbacks who clearly have shown to me that they have the ability to probably make a Super Bowl before him. I mean, Pat Mahomes has already done it. If you ask me, Josh Allen, I can see Josh Allen leading Buffalo to a Super Bowl before Lamar does in Baltimore right now. Baker Mayfield. He might be on Baker Mayfield's level, I guess. Just above Baker Mayfield. So, I say all that to say, they go wide receiver here. There's two guys. You got Terrence Marshall, LSU guy, Rondale Moore, who is a guy to watch. If he gets the right situation, he could prove to be one of the better wide receivers in this class. But I think they go to Terrence Marshall. Yes, Terrence Marshall's the guy. And I say that because the thing about Terrence Marshall that is kind of his calling card is he's the guy who will go up there and get it. So if you have a quarterback who may not be the most accurate guy, a wide receiver like that is what you're going to need until that quarterback can really hone his accuracy. So Terrence Marshall, perfect pick for Baltimore here at 27. Now we're at 28. We have the Saints on the clock. Falcon fans, I get it. You can roll your eyes here. Insert eye roll. What an offseason for the Saints, huh? Drew Brees retires. They gave a bunch of money to Taysom Hill to be a quarterback, even though he's not that good of a quarterback. They have Jameis Winston. See what goes on there. I don't know. They have Michael Thomas, who went from kind of quiet guy you didn't hear from to like locker room malcontent overnight. Sitting here at 28, they could use wide receiver. So they could go Rondale Moore. They need a linebacker. Could go Nick Bolton or Zaven Collins, another linebacker. They need a corner. Let's go corner. Sante Samuel Jr. from Florida State is the guy here. Sante Samuel Jr. is I think he's more of a zone guy he's more of a zone corner. You won't see him playing, press coverage, bump and run type stuff too often. Not saying he can't do it, but I feel like most times I saw him, he was playing off the ball, and he's one of those guys, kind of like his dad, who reads quarterback eyes and loves to jump the ball to make a play on the ball. So I'm going Asante Samuel to the Saints at 28. Now, down to the last four picks. Green Bay at 29. This is going to be a pick everybody's going to be watching, because if Aaron Rodgers' threat from earlier today is real and he's done with them, then they're probably going to take somebody on offense to try to appease him. If they're going to call his bluff, they'll go defense, which they probably need more, which may set Aaron Rodgers off for real, and that becomes the story of the offseason. Good luck to Green Bay. If you're a Green Bay Packer fan, I don't know how you do it. Like I said, that's another episode, another time, but good luck to y'all. I think the team caves here and they appease Aaron Rodgers. So if you're going to do that, you got to go Rondale Moore. Jeez. Yeah, Rondale Moore out of Purdue. He's a small guy, though. He's only 5'7". Yikes. But what Aaron Rodgers would like about this is he's a playmaker. So he's a guy, you get the ball in his hands. He's got speed. He's shifty. He can make plays. Ultimately, isn't that what Aaron Rodgers wants? So, I think that's the play here. All right, so number 30, you got the Buffalo Bills. I think offensively, they are set. If they want to, draft some guys for depth and all that kind of stuff, no need to do that here. First round picks, you should be plugging necessary holes on your team. So they got to go defense here. I think they'd like to get after the quarterback a little better. So I think the play here is edge guy. And I think they take Azeez Ojulari out of Georgia. Yeah, I think that's the play here. He's a guy who can play all three downs, which is a big deal for a lot of edge rushers are third down specialists, but Ojulari can play the run and the pass. And for Buffalo in the AFC East, New England's going to try to run the ball. The Jets will run the ball. And the Dolphins like to run the ball. So if you have an edge rusher who can play all three downs, that's a win. So I think that's the pick here. Ojulari out of Georgia for Buffalo. Now to our final two picks. Now this would have been Kansas City's pick, but Kansas City dealt it to Baltimore. I can't remember what the trade was, but Baltimore's here. So Baltimore has a second pick. They just picked 27th. Now they're picking again at 31. So they took their wide receiver, 27. I think here, so they could go edge. They could go tackle. So, this is a guy who I think was invited to the draft. At this point, he's going to be the last guy sitting there. So, it'll probably be, there might be some pressure to pick him here. Yeah, I think they do it here. Gregory Russo, edge guy out of the U. I think he's a guy early in the draft process was seen as a mid-first round guy and then kind of started slipping because I think some other guys did better at their pro day than thought and kind of moved ahead of him. So Baltimore gets him at the end of the first round. Not a bad move, to be honest, but yeah, I think that's a good pick for them. Good pick. Final team of the first round, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yes, the reigning Super Bowl champion is on the clock. If you listen to Chris Sims, they'd look to take a quarterback here. I think it's kind of a dumb take. Yeah, they have Tom Brady for 3 more years? You're going to go quarterback, you do that later. Now, for those of you who don't know, Chris Sims has them taking Justin Fields at 32. If Justin Fields makes it to 32, I don't know what I would do, but I'd lose it. There's no way he's dropping to 32. So, there's no quarterback here. They're not going to take one here. That's the dumbest thing. But they do have to take somebody. They're going to go defense. They need D-line help. They need a safety. Secondary help. think they go safety. I think they go in the secondary with this one. Yeah. I think there's only one guy you can take here. And go ahead and take Elijah Molden, safety out of Washington here. Yeah. Thing about him, he's a guy who a little undersized as a safety, but he's a guy who can come downhill, hit you, and he's a sure tackler. That's what you really want out of a safety anyway, no matter how big he is. So that's the pick there. I mean, great pick for them. Now, so this place where I did do this mock draft, they actually grade the picks for me, which I think is a great thing. So if you wanted to do this exercise yourself, I mean, it's not sponsored by them or anything, but I guess I can shout them out. It's like Pro Football Focus. They have a place online where you can do your own mock draft. So that's what I used. And quickly looking at draft grades, they actually liked a lot of the people I picked. So maybe an NFL team should be calling me up. Let me get a shot at this. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually proud of myself. Let's see. Anything that they gave me A+ on a lot of picks. The worst pick they gave me was Walker Little to the Steelers at 24. They gave it a B+. That's the lowest grade I got. I mean, I'm not saying it, but I'm saying it. I kind of nailed it. So, if you want to start a pool with your family and stuff, I'm just saying, we got an A draft here that you could use. Wager on some picks. I don't know, but yeah, like I said, really surprised. Trevor Lawrence A+, Zach Wilson A+, Mac Jones A+. They like Mac Jones at number 3. Kyle Pitts A, Chase A, Sewell A, Smith, Waddle, Parsons A+, Singleton. Yeah. All right. There you are. That is my mock draft for the first round. So as I get this out to you, it will be before the draft, so you can listen to this leading into your draft watch party, whatever you plan on doing. Like I said, get you started. And hopefully your team makes the right pick. Hopefully, maybe they follow the pick that I gave you. But like I said, I didn't factor in trades and anything, so could be a little different. I'll definitely come back. Next episode, we'll recap the first round of the draft and then get you ready for rounds 2 and 3. I don't know if I'll do a mock for 2 and 3 because I only did one round here and look how long it took. Although for 2 and 3, I could do one and kind of quickly go through it, do a little less analyzing on the picks. I only did it for the first round because the first round is such a big deal. So, like, once again, apologize for the episode being this long, but I will promise when I do rounds 2 and 3, it will be shorter. Now, like I said, don't know if I'll do a mock draft. I'll think about it. We'll see. If not, I will point out some key names that you'll probably hear rounds 2 and 3 and where they could possibly go. So, yeah, I might have to do a mock draft in order to do that. So I guess it'll either be, I might do the mock draft like on the recording, or I'll do it before and then highlight people. Yeah, I might do it that way. So, but yeah, so hopefully you enjoyed this episode. Like I said, I had a lot of fun doing it. Shout out to Pro Football Focus for that website. Just a great website to go to. Like they give you team needs and all this kind of stuff. And yeah, so really helps with the process. Even if you want to get real deep into the GM thing, it does allow you to do trades on there. I did one before recording, and I was just throwing out trades, and the website's legit with it. Like if you make a ridiculous trade offer, it'll tell you no. If you make a reasonable one, it will complete the trade. So, but yeah. So once again, hope you enjoyed it. Wherever you listen to this, please hit subscribe or follow the show on Twitter at Chompin' Podcast. Definitely should do it tonight because I will be on Twitter during the draft, and if teams make ridiculous picks, send out a tweet and make a good one. I'll do the same thing, so we can interact there during the draft. Why not have some fun there? And I know I said in the last episode, what's up, Castbox people? As last episode was their first one, so I mean all the other episodes are on there, but the first time that they were available. So what's up, you guys? For those of you who follow me on Instagram, which is my page, Kyle Edwards. But last episode, I tried something new and put the episodes out on Instagram TV and got a nice reception there. So I'm going to do that again on this episode. So if you want to follow me on Instagram, you can do that. And then that way you can get your episodes that way. No problem with me. Still have the YouTube page. It's not a video podcast yet. Thinking about that, but you can get the audio podcast on there as well. And wherever else you listen to podcasts, I'm available there. So definitely subscribe. Help me out. Try to build this community. Let somebody know about it. And leave a review if you can. Or like I said, follow me on Twitter. Let's really start interacting this. So, as I say at the end of every episode, be safe out there. God bless. I'll catch you next episode. Like I said, recap round 1. Get you ready for rounds 2 and 3. And let's have some more fun like we did tonight. So, thanks so much. Catch you in the next episode. All right.